Good day and welcome to How to Survive the Stress of a Toxic Workplace live stream. I still keep getting a lot of messages from you regarding handling a bad boss, about dealing with a bad working environment and a toxic company culture. And it's all about the stress it creates for you, which is why today I'd like to talk about a few tips and rules which you could easily follow to ease the stress of a toxic work culture. So please go ahead and say hello in the chat. I'll be saying hello right back shortly, and leave me your questions which will be responded before the stream is finished. So, toxic company usually creates, or is usually created even, it's better when we speak about toxic work environment and toxic culture, we understand that it's something created, the environment created by low quality employers that put in practice unethical, cruel-spirited and manipulative means to satisfy their need for power, for money, or for some kind of special treatment. While being a little stressed out in the course of doing your job is quite normal, but working in a company where the toxic culture is so evident really ends up destroying your self-esteem, your health, and your well-being. So it eventually leaves you depressed, which is why I'd like to discuss some of the things that you could do in order to change this. If we haven't met before, I'm Marat from EMMOTION, myemotion.com. Look me up on LinkedIn. I've been working in recruitment and in corporate HR, as many of you know, for over 14 years. And I created this channel to contribute to your professional and personal growth. Okay, this interaction is live, as all of you know. So to make sure that we make the most of this stream, I'd rather double check it with you. If everything is working fine for you, if you hear me well, if you see me well, then I'd appreciate a big thumb up. And this way I am reassured that there are no technical issues really with the stream. So as I said, I'll be sharing with you a few ways and tips that you could use to ease that negativity and stress that is caused by toxic work environment. And it's understandable that most of the times that we can't really leave, and leaving can be option for everyone. So, which is really the best thing we can do in the long run. But there are really some of the things that you could do in order to make your situation more tolerable and to cope with it better, to cope with the stress better. Because the stress, if a team of researchers from Harvard and Stanford found out that toxic work environment and negative work environment eventually lowers your life expectancy, which is a huge deal. So no matter where you work and how much money you make, think twice if all of that is really worth it. Let me go to the chat and say hello right back. Okay, I see Gabrielle's tears. Hello, good morning. Nitesh, good morning. Sparky Themes, great to see you. Atsa, hello. Abliv, hello. Binay, Gade, Amy, Nitesh. Well, so many of you. Great to see you guys. Thank you very much for joining me in. Okay, so I see that Nitesh, you already have, tomorrow is going to be my first day at work. Please give me some advice. Great. I'll definitely give you some advice. Just give me some time. I'll go through the topic we mentioned, and I'll definitely respond to any comments or questions that you might have. And it's great that you are starting a new job tomorrow. Okay, I believe, thank you very much for mentioning that everything is working fine. Marie, Hello, right back. The video is not coming. Maybe you could refresh your browser and it should work. So far, I think it's working fine. Sparky themes, bless you, Marat. Your kindness and empathy. Your kindness and empathy are so touching. Thank you so much. I really appreciate your kindness as well, and your always positive feedback. It really makes me, keeps me motivated. The feedback like yours, guys, I really appreciate that. So let me go ahead and proceed with the subject. As I said, some of the things, going back to the subject, as we know, working in a normal work environment already has a lot of stress, and any kind of job that we might have already creates a lot of stress. Let's say a silent killer called the stress. So it's there, we know it, and we are all aware of it. Sometimes we are not even noticing it. If our job is really enjoyable and if the environment is positive, we might not even notice it that much. We just know that we are doing our job and we're proceeding with our day-to-day. But if your heart really sinks on Sunday evening, that just like it was happening to me, if your heart sinks on Sunday thinking about the start of the new week at work, and you are basically waking up in horror each day of the week, midweek morning, then this might mean that your work environment is toxic. So the negative and toxic work environment can often be distinguished by bullying, victimization, drama, backstabbing at your company, which do contribute a lot to your motivation and contribute a lot to the decrease of your productivity. So learning how to manage all that stress and making sure it doesn't become extremely overwhelming is easier said rather than done. So let me quickly and directly jump into the first tip. This is something also, as I said, it's really easy to say it rather than do it. But the number one thing, really, try to leave the work issues at home. The work issues at work, sorry. Build a strong work-life balance. You know, the 9 to 5 feels more like 24/7 because work has become so all-consuming. You should definitely try to avoid talking about the work situations at home. It might really help you sometimes from now and then to vent about your situation at work quickly at home. But if you continue speaking about it and dwelling on it and constantly bringing it up at work, at home, sorry, I keep mixing work and home, it's really important to keep them separate, even though it's so hard, because otherwise your problem will even worsen. Because a negative mood is contagious. So if your family member, if your partner constantly hears these kind of comments from yourself, they might also get stressed and they might also start complaining, and this negative mood will definitely affect your relationship or your home dynamic. So make sure you set some boundaries so you can have a job and a life, and these boundaries will reduce the impact that the work can have on other areas of your life. So if just to see what else, what you can do. Basically, when you are at home, just try to focus on the present moment, on your family member, on your roommate, or any other person that might be with you, or just something that you might be doing. Try to leave the work-related things off your mind as much as you can. And this is why I'm proceeding to the next point, basically, when how to channel the stress out. This was actually some of the things that I learned to do, because when things at work get tough, we need to find something to do after work every single day. Because the first time I experienced that toxic stress, the biggest mistake I made was basically to drag myself home every day, get myself a glass of wine, and start rewinding all of those day-to-day events over and over, dwelling on how difficult my life has become at work and how difficult it was to manage the work issues and day-to-day stress at work. So that's really the worst thing that you can do. You know, fortunately, I learned my lesson, and I really realized that you can't really take all that stress in. You need to release it. Let me see what your thoughts are so far. So, Marie, I can see you now. Great. That's good to know. It's great to see you here, Marie. Nitesh, thanks a lot. Okay, great. Obliv, hit this thumb up button, people. It's pretty. I appreciate that, Obliv. Nitesh, Kasim. Hi, Marat. Okay, good to see you. Obliv, besides Marat, deserves a thank you. Thank you so much, Obliv. So, many of you have already dealt with these situations. You probably know, you probably have your own tips and tricks on how to really ease up such kind of stress. So please feel free to share it so everyone would be aware of it, and I'll definitely evaluate them for myself as well, because everything related to how to make your life better, how to ease up the stress, and how to make sure that the negativity doesn't really consume you helps all of us. So as I said, fortunately, I did learn my lesson, and I realized that I need to think about doing something. I couldn't just continue coming home, dragging myself basically to watch some television or just to stay home and think about what was going on at work. The next time I experienced a difficult situation, I actually tried to do, I didn't stop doing sports, I didn't stop doing jogging, doing classes at my gym, and sometimes even working on improving something at home that I needed to do, or scheduling a meeting with a friend or with a family member for a quick catch up at work, after work. So because the loss of motivation in your workplace will definitely make you want to do less, because you feel demotivated, so you don't really want to do anything else. You just want to stay in, and you just don't want to see usually other people or engage in other activities, and that's wrong. You really need to do something, even if it's just like register to learn a new skill. I don't know, to start a language course, and even if it's online there are many applications online that you could use to do that. So anything that you could do, maybe just check out the area of the town that always interested you, and you never really had the time to do it. You know, the best thing that you can do really is to try sports, because all the studies really conducted, all the studies that were conducted, they really showed evidence that for most people, exercising really has an effective positive change and a positive impact on our mood and energy. Whatever you do, I don't mean, I understand that some people might not really be fans of exercising. Whatever you do, just make sure you do your best to live your life outside of work. This is the key thing that you can do, to have a life outside of work, which will make all that job-related and work-related drama so much more easier to tolerate. And this is also important for you, because this way you will be able to reconnect with yourself and recover your own identity. And this life outside of work really will give you the confidence and the energy and the power to go through the toxic workplace and through these difficult issues. Let me see what you are saying. So that's a good idea, a buffer to reset. Absolutely, Sparky Themes. Obliv, I started to use either lava lamp or backflow increase burner to help distract my mind from work issues and help me relax. That's a good strategy. Something do you enjoy before going home? Absolutely. Nitesh, so your videos on interviews helped me to pass my interview. Thanks a lot. Love your videos and advices. Thank you so much, Nitesh. I really appreciate that. Great, really good tips, Oblive and Sparky themes. I really appreciate those. Give myself half an hour to relax after work. Absolutely. And walk the dog. That's so great that you actually have a dog, and it really helps you to ease up the stress and take it off your mind. I mean, pets really help a lot. I think my both cats helped me so much through the stressful times at work as well. So, Edgar, thank you for what you do, Marat. You're literally saving lives. Unfortunately, I have personally experienced how toxic work environment makes a person to do suicide. Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that, Edgar. That's a huge thing. That's terrible, and it's really important to say stop at a certain point before it goes too far, before it goes towards a depression, and before it goes even further. Adsa, Marat, do you have some tips to survive the constant mailing? Sometimes it's hard to concentrate with my work. Okay, I will definitely look into that, Adsa. Okay, so let me continue with the tips that I was giving you. I appreciate your feedback, guys, and thank you so much for your kind words and for your kind energy as well. It really gives me the motivation to go ahead and to proceed with these great streams. So yes, exactly, Sparky themes. So sorry, Edgar. I know that it might be a very difficult thing to talk about. So I really appreciate that you've actually shared it with us. And if you'd like to continue and to voice any other concern that you might have, I'd be more than happy to share an advice or just to listen. Okay, so let me proceed to the next part. The next part is basically the next thing that you could do in order to make the situation more tolerable is, even if you have to fake it, listen, because this is really important. Even if you have to fake it, is to focus on positive thoughts. I know, again, it's easier said rather than done, but focusing on something positive and on focusing on a positive thought, on positive thoughts would really change everything, would really change the energy surrounding you as well. So the first thing you have to do is to recognize that being positive or being negative is really your choice. This is something that you can control. I know that there are many things that we cannot control, and there are things that we cannot control related to our day-to-day, but we can control what kind of thoughts we should channel and what kind of thoughts we keep in our heads. So let me just give an example. Have you ever really hung around someone who was constantly negative, and suddenly you find yourself being pessimistic as well? Has it happened to you? Have you felt that way? I know that the same thing happens really if instead of negativity, this is positivity. Instead of hanging out with someone negative, you actually hang out with someone who is positive, or you actually channel those positive thoughts into your head and project them. This is definitely something that happens. So remind yourself that your job, no matter how difficult it is, no matter how difficult the situation is, your job doesn't describe who you really are. Because if you focus your mind on your daily tasks, if you let go of other distractions when you are on your job, I mean, if you try to treat everyone at work as well while you are at work professionally with respect, just for a second, pretend to be happy at work while dealing with your day-to-day issues and with your day-to-day tasks. Even if, as I said, even if you have to fake it, it doesn't matter. I see the car was just passing by. Sorry about this. I was blinded by the light. So even if it's something that you need to fake, let's say, on a short term, this is definitely helping you out. You can't change things at work, but you can really change your own mindset. So changing your own mindset towards more positive thoughts, changing your perception about your job, about your situation, about your day-to-day routine will definitely help you out. Because by doing so, if you actually, instead of constantly getting focused on, okay, my job is awful, my boss is toxic, my work environment is awful, my colleagues are not treating me right, or all those negative ideas and thoughts, if you eventually manage to take them off your mind and to actually focus on doing your day-to-day tasks and switching right after you leave your work, this will make your workplace feel so much better. And this will make your day-to-day routine feel so much better. Okay, so maybe you could try that as well. I know that for different people, different things really work. So it might not work for all of you, but controlling your thoughts is universal. Controlling your thoughts works for each and every one of you. Okay, let me go ahead and see. Sparky themes, yes, I realized. Let me see. No, before that, Kasim Khan, how to handle stress at work. Yeah. Sparky themes, if we keep focused on positive, we can look for opportunities and solutions. Absolutely, especially while you are searching for another role. Unfortunately, Kasim, my belief is that the world becomes more of a dog-eat-dog. Workplaces have a degree of being toxic to them. Many of them do. There are many that are not like that, believe me, and you can eventually find those kind of places. Easier said rather than done, of course. Marie, Edgar, I'm also a mental health nurse. If you need to talk, please contact me. Oh, that's really kind of you, Marie. Jasveer, yes, I'm so sensitive. I'd like to know why I get nausea when I'm in the same environment with negative energy. Completely understandable. All good people need to band together and create a company. That's a great idea, Sparky Themes. Kasim, I was humiliated by onshore coworker. Sorry to hear that. Kasim, I did address it to my manager. There is no support, so I finally resigned to my position. I'm sorry about that, Kasim, but you will definitely be able to find a much better opportunity. So stay tuned, and I hope I could respond also to any kind of doubts that you might have regarding the job search as well. It's really complicated searching for a job when you are when your mind is constantly reminding yourself on everything you went through and on the negativity that you were surrounded at work. So you will have to try to reset it and start from the scratch. You definitely did the correct decision. Absolutely. Sparky Themes, that's why we need to do things outside of work as the source of happiness. Completely true. Completely true. Okay, so the other way that the other tip that I could recommend you that really worked for me as well is to make sure that while you are at work, while you are surrounded, let's say, with all that negativity, take short breaks. This is something that is also easy to do, and everyone really can do it, because toxic work environment can definitely suck all your energy. So making sure that you take short breaks through the workday will definitely help you out. Even if it's just you just leave your job for a second and take a 10-minute walk or 5-minute walk. Maybe just go sit in your car and listen to some relaxing music. Just physically removing yourself from a bad working environment helps you to refresh yourself and to resume really your tasks with a more positive and replenished energy. And also, the researchers really say that early breaks and taking breaks were associated with less negative health symptoms. Let's say people that did breaks at work, they tend to have less complications in terms of health, less headache, less back pain or any other pains. So if you take a break from your work for a few minutes, then return to work, it's going to help you to reset your mindset and help you to really recharge your batteries. So you can start working, let's say, with a renewed energy, and it's definitely going to make your day more tolerable and easier. The bottom line is really people become better employees when they take short breaks at work. People become happier when they take short breaks at home, at work, sorry. This is definitely going to help you out. So one of the things that also I really recommend you to do is at least to try it, not to take things to your heart, not to take it personally. I used to hate people saying this to me. I used to hate people saying this, like, don't take it personally. I hated that phrase, and I think many of you might feel the same. But believe me, this makes a lot of sense if you know how to do it, if you actually manage to have a few tips and tricks to make sure that you are not taking this too personally. And to do so, just think that the first step is really to stop blaming yourself. If you stop blaming yourself, that's already a big step. No matter how your boss or how your negative work environment makes you feel, no matter what they say about you, no matter what they do, there is nothing really that you could do to be successful or to change the situation completely, except on a midterm, getting out of it. But if you actually manage to get your mind off this of really blaming yourself, and thinking that this is something that you deserve because you were not good enough, or you did this not well enough, or you are not handling things properly. If you manage to stop doing this, this is definitely going to help you out. If you manage to stop blaming yourself, if you manage stopping to blame yourself, really helps you also not to take things personally, and it helps you to stop care about the situation really, because the moment that you find power in yourself to actually say, okay, that's it, I'm done with it. I need to stop caring about this as much. I need to stop letting it so close to my heart. If you are receiving bullying or intimidation at work, it's really easy to blame yourself, or it's really easy to not see those strong qualities in yourself, really, because all of you, every single one of you, you definitely have strong qualities in yourself. So when toxic places happen, when bullying happens, it does happen to many of you. It does happen to many people. In fact, studies show that about 75% of all the employees questioned admitted that they were affected by workplace bullying at some point. So we are not alone. You are not alone. This happened to many people, and this keeps happening, unfortunately. So it's not your fault. This has nothing to do with your behavior. This is really, I mean, your manager's behavior or your colleague's behavior. They really have nothing to do with how you behaved. So remind yourself your self-worth. Remind yourself that you constantly need to strive to improve yourself, to do better. It doesn't have to be doing better at work. It could be doing better at home. But you need to work on increasing your self-esteem. This is one of the key things. So one of the best things that you can do, as I said, to stop caring about this, to stop blaming yourself, and this will help you, all of this will help you to stop taking this so personally and so close to your heart. I don't know if that makes sense. I hope it does. Let me go ahead and see. Okay. I believe I don't eat lunch at work anymore. I eat in my car, so I get a break from work. That's a very good thing to do, actually. I used to do that as well. Taking off for lunch helps you to reset your energy as well. Sparky themes. I've been using imagery. Protective bubble around me, that negative energy can't get to me. That's really, really, really a good strategy. Envisioning a protective bubble around me, a positive imagery, that's a very good thing to do. Health over wealth. Absolutely, Sparky themes. A lot of people lost their wealth later in life, taking care of their health or having someone to take care for them because of their horrendous health. Completely true. This is why I always say, put your well-being above the paycheck. It's many of us make this mistake at some point. It's so easy to get confused by the society, which basically pushes you to make more money, to stop caring, let's say, about your work ethics and your personal ethics, just going to those places where they push you to the limits and where the toxic energy surrounds you in your day-to-day. You end up becoming just like those workplaces eventually, especially if you really don't realize that there is something wrong with it. So afterwards, after some time, you definitely need to invest all of that money that you made into your health, and sometimes you can't do much about it even. Jasbir, I think toxic environments can sometimes create mental blocks. For me, I tend to have recurring thoughts from experience in these environments. What I should do to remove those mental blocks? That's a good question also, Jasbir. I'll definitely address it. If I'm having a bad day at work, I tell myself I'm just doing dishes. Very good strategy, Sparky themes. I never really thought about it, but this could really work. So true about not blaming ourselves. Yes. We do have to accept responsibility for our part in things, Sparky. There are no victims, only volunteers. Nobody forces us to work in crappy jobs except ourselves. That's true to a certain extent, I believe. But a lot of times we don't really know about this situation. Sometimes we can see certain signs, but many times we are not sure about it and we don't really know how bad things are until something happens or until we already signed the contract and started this job. So sometimes it might seem like you don't really have any option, but I absolutely agree with you that you do have an option and things can be changed. You just need to make sure that you set the limit, that you know when to say stop and when to say goodbye, basically. Okay, sparky themes. Blaming ourselves is creating victim mentality. Absolutely. And that's something that I would like to discuss in one of my videos. Never, never, never create a victim mentality or victimize yourself in your thoughts. Don't do this, because it's going to backfire against you sooner than later. Coffee, tea, and Marie. It does make sense. You know what a loving person I am, Marat. Absolutely, Marie. I definitely know that. Jasveer, thanks, Marat. Sparky themes, gaslighting occurs at jobs. People don't realize the toxicity until they have been targeted. Absolutely. Jasveer, your POV is more on self-care perspective, and it's so easy to relate, especially the part of not blaming ourselves for these things that happen in toxic workplace. I appreciate your input. I really appreciate your kind feedback as well. I'm not done yet. I'll continue with the next advice and the next tip really, that I think all of us who have experienced, every single one of you that experienced that, you know that nothing is permanent. Some of you might be already in much better places, like Marie, for example. I know that she adores her job now. She's a flight attendant that is living the life that she always wanted, and I'm so happy and proud of that, and proud of her that she managed to get in just very few months, in just 3 months, she managed to get from her lowest point to a great and a positive energy surrounding her, and a positive workplace surrounding her. So know this, everyone, and each time you think that things are really awful, and that your surrounding is making your life extremely hard, just know that nothing is permanent. I know that sometimes there is nothing you can do to stop those negative comments coming from your boss or from your colleagues. You can't really do anything if somebody just throws you under the bus in front of top management or in front of somebody else. I mean, of course, your confidence goes away, or your confidence is affected. You start feeling lousy. You can really feel lousy physically and mentally. And the worst part is really mentally, believe me, because just as Edgar mentioned before, I know people that really ended up having deep depressions. Thankfully, it didn't go further than that, but deep depressions already set them back in every aspect of their lives, not just in their careers, but in their personal lives as well. Because unfortunately, it's so complicated to actually get people support you when you are stuck in a depression for a long time, because people try to help you. They can stick around for some time, but not everyone will stick around for you through months and even years, so that's what I'm telling you. That's why it's better to say stop and to protect yourself, because it doesn't have to go further than that. It doesn't have to go further than certain signs that your body gives you, that your mental health gives you, like sleepless nights, like constantly feeling tired, that constantly feeling negative. So believe me, this tip that I'm giving you is definitely helping out, that nothing is permanent. I mean, just remind yourself that nothing is permanent. This sometimes, do you get those situations in life that you feel that what a terrible moment to be in, what a bad moment to really live and experience? I mean, sometimes we can easily get worked up and we just really get angry, or we get sad and we just can't control our emotions. But if you just click for a second and if you just remind yourself that this is not permanent, suddenly, I don't know if it's working for you as well, but for me, the situation changes. It immediately becomes easier to tolerate, and I just go ahead and think, okay, just go ahead and torture me, do whatever you want, but this is not permanent. This will pass. Another day will come. Another moment will come. So the same mindset. I mean, think that you will definitely meet other managers that will be leaders and that will be example for you. This toxic boss or this toxic colleague will not continue making your life miserable. So all that extra effort, all those, let's say, long hours, all that energy that you're supposed to give to work, you don't have to give it in this job. You don't have to give it to this toxic boss or toxic colleague. Just think that this is a temporary situation, and there will be another position that you will be happy about, that will make your life so much better, that will require all of those efforts that you might choose to make, whether you would like to make or not. It's basically your choice, but this is not that position. This is not that environment. Your toxic boss and this toxic work environment do not really require this effort. In the meantime, you should keep proactively searching for other opportunities to move on, because ultimately, the best way to deal with the toxic work environment and the best way to deal with the stress that you are surrounded with really is to find a new job, which is different. I know that sometimes this is another thing that we can't know for sure how different that job is, but you can definitely know some of the signs. Once you experience this, you can definitely know some of those signs. So focus on yourself, on your well-being. At work, you just get your work done and look for the means of getting out of that place. Okay? So these were my 6 tips on how to deal with the toxic work stress. So let me just go ahead and now respond to your questions. And let me see what you've been saying so far. Health over wealth. I'm having a bad day. I just tell myself I'm doing dishes. I've already read that. Okay. Let me see over here. I believe not everyone's cup of tea. That's really funny. This too shall pass. So true, Marat. Absolutely. Marie, they were great tips. I really appreciate that. Thank you so much. Okay, let me go ahead and respond to the questions. So Nitesh was asking me that he's starting a new job, and if you advise a few tips on how to start a new job and what to do. Nitesh, if you've been following my videos, you already know that the biggest thing really about making it in your new job, in your new workplace, is to adopt a positive mindset and to start from scratch. And to do that also, it's so important to make sure that your boss is supportive. So this is the most important advice that I give to everyone is, okay, first things first, when you start a new job, make sure your manager is happy with what you are doing. Whether I know, we are going again towards the management part, but your job is being defined by how well your manager is going to end up treating you. Believe me, every single job is defined by your manager. You might love your job, but if your manager is not supportive, or if your manager is being extremely demoralizing, or is being micromanaging, you will not be able to enjoy your job. So this is why, Nitesh, first things first, make sure that your manager is happy with your job, and to do that, to actually get that approval, you just sit down, ask your manager, what do they expect from you? What are their expectations? And start from there. Start from that point and make sure that what you do is in line with their expectations and that this manager is eventually happy with your work. That's the most important advice that I can give you today, Nitesh. And congratulations again with your new job. You should tell us more about it. What the position is, are you happy with it? And keep me updated also on how everything is going. Okay, so let me continue further. Another question that I had. Atsa, do you have some tips to survive the constant mailing? Sometimes it's so hard to concentrate with my work. Do you mean, Atsa, this mailing is actually coming from your manager? Do you mean that this is like micromanaging emails that you are being sent? Or does it mean that your colleagues keep sending you emails, or it's a client that keeps sending you emails? What exactly do you mean by those constant emails? In any case, if these are the micromanaging emails that you get from your manager, just respond to them as soon as you can. Respond and be patient and do your best not to make things even worse, because with your manager, it's a no-win situation. Remember that. Okay, so the other thing, let me see. The next question. Okay, the next question that I have in here. This question is actually quite related to the topic, so I think it would be good to actually discuss this. How can I not take things personally? I heard this advice many times, and I don't know how can I do this. Okay, so this is something that I think I've already responded in a way, but maybe it's better to precise it much more. You know, the tips that I've given regarding regarding not taking things personally, not getting so affected, is stop caring, stop expecting them to change, and stop blaming yourself. Really, I mean, these are the most important things that you could do to make sure that you are not taking this personally, because this enables you to have different look and different outlook on things, because your situation, I mean, this company was probably like this before you arrived, so you won't be able to change anything. The only thing that you can change is your vision of things, is your way of relating to it. So this is why, I mean, not taking things personally is of course hard, but when you actually manage to get your mind off it and to take your mind towards something else, to different aspects, I mean, to your day-to-day responsibility, to your life outside of work, and to really stop caring about this manager or this job more and more, eventually you manage to take things less personally, believe me. Okay, so let me see, go ahead and if this was not enough, then go ahead and ask me the further question. Let me see, and I think software data engineering is a toxic work environment. Gabrielle Steers. I think software data engineering is a toxic work environment by nature. They think that they are smarter than everyone else, and everyone thinks they are right. This creates a toxic workplace. Gabrielle's tears. I agree with you, but you wouldn't believe that how this exact statement can be applied to so many places. You wouldn't believe how many places are there which think exactly the same way. Especially, let me tell you that especially the service industry, I know that there are many, corporate jobs that could be toxic, and of course, software development, as you said, the engineers usually have this. I wouldn't want to generalize, but they have this thing that they studied a lot during many years, so they really think, and some of them rightfully, that they deserve a lot. So that immediately creates a pressure for everyone else who is working with them, because they, as you said, they might think that they know a lot, which they might, but there is no need to show it off. So I completely agree with you. When the environments when people start showing off their knowledge by basically nitpicking and constantly telling you, okay, this is not enough, or this is not good enough, you are not doing this well enough, I know better than you do, of course this creates a toxic work environment. Another thing that creates a toxic work environment, and myself, I would really like to do a video on this very soon. These we are family kind of mindset companies, the companies that create we are family and install we are family mindset and culture within their work environment. These companies are definitely toxic, believe me, because I've dealt with 2 of those companies, and thankfully I dealt with those companies while working for myself. For my company, I just worked on projects with those companies, with those type of companies. And this we are family type of mindset ruins the boundaries that should be set at the workplace. Healthy working boundaries, healthy working environment is basically switched to where, okay, I can do this and I can say it to you and I can be mean to you because we are family, and and you will have to forgive me because that's how the family works. No, this concept and mindset as well is extremely toxic, believe me. I know that you can really have a close relationship with your workmates and you can get along really well with your manager. That's excellent, but never wear family kind of mindset, because it's not going to be helpful to you, and it's going to eventually create some tension and workplace dysfunction. Believe me, I've seen that happen. I've seen those companies operate, and eventually the employees are not happy, and the employees are the ones that lose out in those situations. Okay, so let me go ahead and continue to the next question. Let me see. Are the mental blocks? Yes, the mental blocks are addressed as well by Obliv. The mental blocks you speak may be your body's way of identifying threats to you. Kind of like being caveman on a high alert looking for a trigger about to get you. Sometimes it can be hard to turn these warning signs off. I know this from experience. It's called hypervigilance. Vigilance. Well, I actually haven't heard about that concrete definition, but it completely makes sense. And it's something that I think everybody experiences, that when your body is giving you signs. And the mental blocks that you are speaking about might also be one of those things that basically you just don't want to face this day-to-day routine. You just don't want to face this day-to-day truth that surrounds you. So instead, your mind just gets blocked and you just feel out. So I definitely know what you mean, and I know how difficult it might be. But this is why one of the things that I mentioned, which is so important, is to reconnect with yourself. Because when we can suffer mental blocks and we can get disconnected from our day-to-day, from our reality, from ourselves, which needs reconnection, which needs you getting reconnected with yourself. And getting reconnected with yourself, as I said, is to seek activities and things to do outside of your work. This is a number one rule for everyone. Make sure that if your life at work sucks, if your life at work is awful, if your life at work is damaging even, seek happiness outside of work. Seek day-to-day activities that will make you feel more happy, that will make you feel, will make your day-to-day more enjoyable, even if it's just a small thing like meeting a friend for a coffee or for a tea and just having a chat, and it will immediately reset your energy and will make you feel better. As I said, people that have pets really are extremely lucky, because pets can take the stress away really easily. And I know this from experience as well. And making sure also that you set day-to-day plans outside of work also helps you so much, and helps you to reconnect with yourself and with your own happiness, really. And that's when you get much more energized and much more self-confident. So going further, Atsa, yes, from my manager. You refer to those emails that you get from your manager. Okay, completely understandable. So the best advice that I can give you is to respond to those emails as soon as you can and get it over with, unless it's a weekend time and you just disconnect. You disconnect until Monday, don't even think about it. But if your manager is micromanaging you through email, there is not much that you can do really, except for doing your best to do your job the best way that you can, and just respond them and just give them this information when you can. Do your job the best way that you can. Micromanagement never goes unnoticed. I know how it feels, and I know that it's extremely difficult to deal with it on a long run, because you eventually become worn out. But just be patient, keep going, and keep searching for another role. Okay, so let me see. Bin Lee. Marat, I am hesitated to look for a new job, even the toxic workplace under the pandemic. So you mean you are in a toxic workplace, Bin, if I understand it right, you are in a toxic workplace, but you are hesitating to search for another job because of the pandemic, and you are afraid that you would end up in a similar place. Do I understand it correctly? Let me see. Sparky Themes. I'm a caring person by nature, and I work as an accountant. This is why I tell myself I'm doing dishes, because that is a huge concern. What a huge concern we put into washing a plate. That's a great strategy, and you are completely right. Whatever makes you feel more relaxed, whatever makes you feel more at ease, go for it. Marie, love and light and prayers from me to anyone in a toxic job. There is always something better, and you will find a company that will value and respect you. You just have to take it take that first step. Completely true, Marie. Loving that, loving your attitude and loving these tips, because you are a definition of what taking that steps or that step is like. I believe. Want to work in a toxic workplace? Go work for Amazon. They micromanage every minute of every employee's day. They had to install stress booth for people to get mental health help at work. But you have to clock off first. Employees call them cry booth. Wow, that is something that rings a bell, because some of the well-known companies, some of the companies that have such a good reputation from outside can be a hell from the inside. At least, let me just give them, I know that you don't think that way because you've experienced it, but let me just give it a vote of confidence, because having created those cry booth is already a good step, is already the right step. So I know that we always expect more, and I know that and I know that it's not an excuse, and this doesn't mean that they should keep micromanaging and pressuring you and keep creating the toxic workplace, but at least they try to do something about it. But as I said, because cry booth, if it eventually makes you feel even worse because you become, you start victimizing yourself even more, then that might not be as helpful anymore, really. I don't know if you've ever used those cry booth. I believe it would be interesting to hear you out. Okay, so fight, freeze, frown. Gabrielle's tears. Thank you, Marat. You have a way of making me feel better. I'm so happy to hear that, Gabrielle's tears. I'm so glad to hear that, and I think that the tips that Sparky Themes is giving, I believe is giving, Marie is giving, should also help you and should also make you feel better, because you see, they've been through similar situations as well. They've been there, they've done that, they've seen it as well. I don't know, some of them managed to feel better and managed to overcome those situations, but it's never really enough knowledge. The more knowledge that we can get on managing these situations, the better. Even myself, I constantly learn. I know that right now I'm working for myself, and I work for concrete projects that I collaborate with companies on, but it doesn't mean that I don't get stressed. It doesn't mean that I am completely unaffected. No, I get stressed and I get a lot of work as well. But at least I have more resources on how to manage it, and I have more ways of dealing with it. And I keep learning those things as the time goes by. So it's definitely going to be better, Gabrielle's tears, believe me. I believe hypervigilance. Okay, that's a good concept. So you mean that's when your body is constantly alert on what is going on around you, and to make sure that that your territory is not getting trespassed, right? So it's something like that. Let's say the definition of it, the simple and easy definition of it. Okay, Gabrielle's tears. Yes, they are helping me too. I thank them too. That's great. Great. So I'm extremely happy that I've spent this time with you. And let me see. I have another question, but which is completely unrelated to our conversation, and it's regarding how to make sure that my job interview is successful if I don't know much about the company. So this is it's not related, but you don't mind me responding to this, because I think it will help. It will help you at your job interview. The best thing you can do is to go to your job interview prepared. If you are going to your job interview unprepared, just be yourself, stay positive and motivated and engaging and enthusiastic. I mean, you can't really do much more than that. If you don't know much about the company, if you haven't really prepared your interview, just go and show your best self, and without really pressuring or without really punishing yourself. And if that is your job, things will go well. If that is not, then not. I hope that helps. Okay, so thank you, Marat. Sparky Themes, thank you very much. Right back. Emphasize what you have to offer. Absolutely, exactly. That's the way. That's the way of rocking your job interview. And the best, and I always keep mentioning it, be prepared and do as much research as possible. Practice as much as possible as well. So I really appreciate your time. Thank you very much for staying with me till the end, everyone. As I said, if you are not subscribed yet, then go ahead and hit that subscribe button. And if you haven't done it, thumb up the video as well. It really helps my channel. I appreciate your time, and I appreciate all your positive energy and your advice and your interaction and some really, really good tips, actually. So all of that is really appreciated. Have a great Sunday, and all of you, Uplift, Sparky Themes, Marie, Gabrielle Steers, Bin Lee. I hope I responded to your question, Bin Lee, because it wasn't really a question, but if you are scared to make that step, I think Marie has responded to that perfectly. You don't have to be scared. You should go ahead and do that step and take that step. Adsa, Jaswir, Kasim, congratulations with your new job, Kasim, as I said. Marie, Sparky Themes, and I think I've mentioned everyone already. So Nitesh, yes, good to see you, everyone. Gate as well.